that every time you put a fucking video on there, isn't it?
You do it anyway.
I'll do it every time. Whatever you say, what you want.
You got a dirty mind, you have.
I'll just say whatever it takes to stop you annoying me with your fucking stupid camera.
Do you really think some of those things? Do you think they're true?
No. What things?
Well, some of the things you say, like, do you really think they're true? Or
no, I can't even remember what I said. They're jokes, you fucking retard.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but it's very...
Oh, God.
But it's very...
You are autistic. I swear to God, you'd be like mildly on the spectrum, but just.
Of what spectrum?
Autism.
What is it then, if you know so much?
You just can't pick up on social cues and things. You fucking you can't tell the difference between a joke and when someone's serious.
Well, in that case, you might be right. But then again, my sense of humour. But also, I never did have like a sense of.
I'm not saying you haven't always had the problem. I'm not saying it's something that developed recently.
Well, if you've never been very social over, like never did a lot of socialising over a lifetime, I think that's just normal. I don't think you would have. But I think I can still be pleasant to people.
Mr. Social.
But I can still be polite and pleasant to people,
I believe it when I see it.
But I do. But I have always had like a bit of a thing about, like I have to know someone and trust them a fair bit before I'll sort of be friendly. I do get nervous talking to people and stuff.
Why
it's
are you
easy.
nervous talking to someone?
It's easy
Why
if you
are you
make.
nervous talking to someone?
Well, I don't know. I just never really like. I don't like. I've never really liked crowds and all that sort of stuff much. No.
You didn't say anything about crowds.
No, but I've never
Suddenly
liked.
making a speech in front of 100 people. You're talking to someone.
No, but like it's a lot easier. Even like making a video is it was hard at first. It actually was hard. But at the same time, you're like, you don't really know who you're talking to, so you're not face to face.
You're not talking to anyone.
That's right. Well, that's basically.
It's like a robot. You're like a robot. You're like,
no,
you don't have to pay zero. It's a perfect conversation for a fucking autistic. You don't have to pay zero attention to like anybody else and just ramble non-stop. Yeah, that really it's a great social interaction between you and your fucking. What happened to people?
Well, there's a bit of truth to that. I can attend to it, but I did try to be sociable at one point, like where you. But actually, I think that's a mistake in a way because if you don't, because you don't, you can be too. You can open up too much to people, especially strangers or people you don't really know.
Why would you do that for?
No, but what I'm saying is I sort of made a conscious effort.
This is what I'm talking about. This is that whole fucking autistic thing. Like it's like, you can open up too much to strangers. Like, what the fuck are you opening up to strangers for?
No, I didn't mean it. I meant that. No, but I'm saying that if you haven't socialised a real lot and then you maybe at some point you decide that it's better to being more open, just in general,
Do you think that's going to make you more likeable or something?
No, it's not that. Well, not really. It's just that you do that because I don't know why you do. Well, I don't know why I do it really.
This is making so much sense. You should have left the video on and fucking given life advice out.
Well, can't explain it, but like that.
It's the obsession with worrying about what other people think about you. get a cold drink or what? You said you did.
I did. There's a Pepsi there. I got Pepsi for a change. I know I probably shouldn't have. You're not keen on the Pepsi, are you?
It's not that, but there's no way to drink it.
Pour it in your coffee cup.
I've got a full coffee cup.
Or,
Coffee.
oh, you still got the coffee in it. Oh, well,
Or a drink.
I didn't get any straws. You can't go up there and get some straws, I suppose. Probably not. I'm glad I got the loaf of bread in there anyway.
There's a straw.
Oh, you got a straw. Oh, in that case, you can just drink it out the straw. Open it up carefully and.
Can I blow bubbles or not? Prefer if I
Well,
don't blow bubbles.
well,
You say you like it fizzy, don't you?
not everywhere though.
Did you get a cold one?
No.
A warm fucking bottle of Pepsi Max. Seriously, I don't even worry
Well,
about
that fellow on the register there, Patrick, I don't like to say it, but the fellow that's on the thing there, he's been very,
No, you're gonna make me go in there and like make him like feel like.
no, it's just that he's,
Just go in there and make him feel like an idiot.
no, it's just that he oh, I better not say it,
Just
but,
fucking tell me, hurry up.
but just that he's
This is
new.
autistic shit. Oh, I better not say. It's like, have you ever like said that to someone and they haven't like gone off at you? Have you ever in the history of your life said that to someone and they haven't gone, oh, okay? I think
I never had an argument with my mother and father for a lifetime,
I don't
until
care
the
about,
end.
Who cares about your mother and father? I'm not talking about your fucking mother and father.
I'm saying that,
People that aren't your mother and father, like fucking regular people.
well, I don't usually get into arguments with anyone except you. Well, you know, I mean,
said-
some of the neighbours, but not much, but
Jesus
not an
Christ,
argument.
Stop talking for 1 second. That's not what I'm talking about. No, like seriously, you just start talking about things that I don't say. Don't put faces when I talk to you. I'll break it. I simply said, like, have you ever said that to someone ever and they haven't gone, like, fucking tell me? And then you start going about your mother and father and neighbours and arguing. I'm just, like,
Sorry,
I just feel like you mustn't listen to what I say. It's like you don't respond to what I actually say. Does that make sense?
I suppose so.
So if I asked you, like, hey, do you want a kebab? And you said, like, 4 o'clock. I think she probably, even though she responded to me, she probably didn't listen to what I was asking her. Because she started talking about something different.
Sorry.
Doesn't make a
Well,
lot of
that's
sense.
what I mean. It's just a problem of communication. Just
Well, like, if someone asks you, like, what flavour kebab do you want? And they see they start doing shit like that, or they go, 4 o'clock? Well, who's the problem with communication? Is it?
sorry
The
about
person
that.
asking the logical question clearly, or the person that starts talking about something else every time someone asks them a question? Like, who's got the problem with communication?
You said that I always get into arguments with people, and I've never really. I've always thought that I was.
I didn't say that. I said, have you ever said that to someone and not had an argument, or them not told you off, or them just gone, oh, okay, well, thanks for bringing it up, and then not telling me what you said, want to say? I just think if someone does that, it's one of those things where people only do that if they're looking for the attention. Because if they really just didn't want to say it, they wouldn't say, oh, I've got something to say, but I'm not going to say it. No, they just sit there and go,
Well, I was going to say it, but I don't want to cause a problem.
so then you
that's
just
all.
don't say anything. You don't say that. You don't go, oh, well, there's this thing. Oh, no, I better not say it. That's going to cause a problem every time.
I suppose so.
First time I've had this conversation either.
Just because I say something about someone doesn't mean, I want to go and argue with them. Like, I think that even if people are a little bit abrupt to you, I'm not going to cause, there's no point in arguing, just,
Okay.
because you have to go to the same place all the time. And either way, they might change their way after a little bit anyway sometimes, who knows,
I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
I meant in relation to the 7-Eleven with the fella being a bit finicky.
What do you mean you're finicky?
Well, know, like I don't make a mess. I always tend to be quite careful, but you know,
What?
you know, he always says to me, "Oh, did you leave it clean and all this sort of stuff, and did you do this and that?" And he knows I do it. You know what I mean? But he doesn't do that with everyone else.
Yeah, but you often do make a bit of a mess. You are like.
Well, sometimes those sugar things that they blow everywhere, that's because they've got that machine blows on top, so it's not my fault. But but if I got time,
Yeah, this is what I mean about people caring too much. Oh, sorry, I started.
No, I didn't. I was listening, Patrick.
Let me see how much attention I can get by pulling a face and sitting somewhere. Oh, it's so hard to listen to those first two words that mean nothing. I'm just going to act already. You're overacting. You're doing it too early. You're getting pretending before I actually say things. So it goes, fuck off.
It wasn't. I was waiting for this. There's a police car. No, I wasn't really worried about any of these things, but if you have to go to the same place all the time, you know, where you see the same people serving it, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care, because the way things are now, it doesn't matter, because, you know, with all this other stuff going on. In the past, I would have been perhaps a bit bothered by if people are a bit funny towards me, you know, like, you know, but not so much now, because can't even go into half the shops, and who knows what people think about anything. I don't even know anymore, to be honest.
Who knows? Again, I love a transcript. What do you mean? Who knows what people think about anything?
Well,
I think you're overthinking things too much. Honestly.
Well, sometimes I can overthink things, that's actually true. You know,
Do you really think it matters what fucking Suresh and fucking Coles Express thinks of you? Like, I think he might have walked around in shit for the first 4 years of his life because he didn't have a toilet in his household before he came to our country, so fuck off.
Maybe
You're
that's...
fucking come and act up because you're working in a service station all night and act like, you know, you're fucking king of the coffee machine. Good for you. Someone, you fucking
But Patrick...
What? I mean, seriously, bud, if you're going to be an arsehole.
Well, maybe he just, you know, like I shouldn't have said, but I shouldn't have said anything.
Bill Gates needs to go and kill another couple of million kids over there, so at least he fucking realises to shut up, maybe stupid vaccine. No, that's factual. They got sued about 8-9 years ago.
What?
There was a vaccine. They were like doing vaccine trials, and they made huge numbers of Indian kids infertile by mistake because of the faulty vaccine. Lucky it happened in the most populated country in the world, though, at least.
It's interesting, I never heard that.
Yeah, you just look it up. It's open. It's not like hidden information. It's just coincidentally the news companies that are owned a lot by people like Bill Gates don't exactly always bring it up every week, sort of thing. They obviously report on it when it happens, but it's with most news, they know they can report on things.
Does that make both?
So like 80%. Right?
Sorry, but you mentioned that thing about
But if you're interested, go look it up.
Is that like everyone? Like
What?
Does it affect the same with men and women?
It was a malaria vaccine. Or I think it was a vaccine. I'm pretty sure it was a vaccine. Malaria treatment. Maybe. It was a malaria thing. And it was like funded by his foundation. And it turned out that, yeah, like not everyone in it obviously, but like one of the more common side effects ended up being, yeah. But it was not, like it was a trial, it wasn't like something where everyone got it or anything. So it was like, you know, the trial was like 20 or 30,000 people and like, you know, a third of them, or, no, it was bigger than that, it was like 200,000 or 300,000, something like that. Like about a third of them or a bit under a third of them or something like that. I can't remember the number, it was a long time ago. But you're looking at like tens of or hundreds of thousands. you're looking at like quite large numbers of like. Well, no, when I say large numbers, like relatively, it's not that large, I guess, if you compare it to like in India and such. But yeah,
Still a lot of people. It's just that
it doesn't matter about if it's one person even. It's like it's the attitude towards it sort of thing.
But those people would have volunteered, wouldn't they?
They were even paid, some of them. Some maybe $20, $30 maybe.
Yeah, you're saying that if someone's hard up for money, that they will...
No
I've seen that
coincidence.
in
No coincidence. It was basically done on, a group of like village people type thing. From the village. It wasn't done on like the well-to-do city folk from Mumbai. It was done on like, it'd be like in Australia, for example, if we decided like, oh, we'll just do our experiments on some Aboriginals into Darwin and Northern Territory. No, you know what I mean? Because they don't. Like what I'm saying is they don't go and say to like some rich kid's daughter living on the eastern suburbs, hey, do you want $40 to do an experimental drug? They'd be like, my dad gives me $40 to wake up in the morning. You know what I mean? Whereas you do that go there and do it, and it doesn't take much.
I wouldn't mind going to live in the Northern Territory.
Oh, you're an idiot.
Why?
It's a bit of a shithole.
But if they have like people that are more on the land, they probably wouldn't bother me so much, would they?
Who are these people on the land?
Or didn't you say that they were,
What's that Aboriginals? They're on the petrol at 7-Eleven. They're not on the fucking land.
So you're
They're
saying
breaking
that
into your
there are
back,
no...
fucking ripping your fucking... The only thing they're climbing up is your chimney.
So you're saying that even that is a little... Well, of course, that whole thing that we've got going now, with which I've always thought that myself, but it's not really viable anymore, is it? Because they've already been taken over. Like, it's not like you can give them back Australia or then go back to nature.
Well, we've got a country... We've got space in the middle of a country the size of England that's currently used as a military weapons testing facility that no one can go into. So we could just stop doing that, and then there's a country the size of England that we could just do something with. We've got land the size of England, but America wouldn't like that. Got to test out those missiles. I think by now they know if they worked or not properly. Also, like the ocean would seem like a more logical place to do that, like off the coast somewhere, but like whenever you see other countries doing it, like North Korea and places, they always do it into the water. But for some reason, we've got ours in the middle of the desert. So, okay, no worries, Barb. Coincidentally, if you want to watch some like mad light shows and stuff, go out to like near Woomera and stuff and just watch the UFOs like all over the place. It's like going around like. I swear like Area 51 used to be in America, and now what it's like sort of down in the south end. If you play, not south end, over in like the what's the name? I can't remember that place, but Arizona, where they do a lot.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Oh, they do like heaps of like testing of like new aircraft and weapons and all like new, you know what I mean, like all that sort of stuff out there. So you get like heaps and heaps of reports of like UFOs and all that sort of thing out there because people see all this like
But they're not really UFOs, are they?
Well, can you identify them?
No.
Well,
but
you unidentified
I see what
in
you're
the sky.
saying. If you use the correct thing,
Like
that's
people will
right.
say they're UFOs,
But they're not from out. They're not from out. They're actually here.
One person's
That's right. I agree.
like one person's UFO is another person's test aircraft because they can identify it. They're like, that's our test aircraft. We know it's not identified. We know what it is. It's not unidentified to us. Whereas anyone who's
That's
not
exactly.
testing,
I think.
it's like,
I
that's
think
unidentified.
I'm getting you there. I think.
Just in those cases, like
But I don't know much about that.
yeah,
though.
just in those cases, especially where
Is that why the
like, just in
Aboriginals-
those cases, especially where it's in like areas that are known, to have a lot of facilities. Like Woomera is not like a hidden facility out there. It's like you can look up, Woomera testing facility. But they say it's basically for missiles and such. But you can also go and like stay in like townships around like where the fence line is, and those townships make their money off like the tourism, people coming to like look for UFOs and such. Like same as like Area 51, like the towns near there make their money off.
I don't know much about Area 51. I have heard of it.
It's basically a holiday destination. These days it's basically a holiday destination. These days it's basically a holiday destination.
Well, perhaps might explain some things in a way that I don't.
No, I just think that's it was.
But we've got a lot of space in this country, haven't we? That's right. But see, even though if you talk about like because we've got that whole thing going, haven't we? With like with land rights and all that stuff's been promoted for years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What?
And has anything ever happened?
No, but they talk about it. They're still talking about it now. It's
in,
even on the sides of the buses.
And the blacks in America have been talking about reparations for 200 years now.
What have they been talking about?
Reparations for
What's
slavery.
that?
For slavery. Well, meant to, like, when the slaves got let go, they were all meant to get like a certain amount of land and some farming and some farm animals. It was like the decree was like you had to let your slaves go and give them.
How long ago is this?
I don't know, like 100 and fucking whatever years ago, like a long
Well,
time.
they'd all be dead now, wouldn't they?
Their descendants are. They say we want our land plus interest. Because it was promised to us, and most of them didn't get it because most of the people who were meant to give it just said like, yeah, well, the police like us and don't like you, so we're not going to give you anything, and just told them to fuck off, sort of thing. You know what I mean? And, like they didn't understand the law or anything. They were just, but but then once they did later on, it was like, hey, like it says in this fucking declaration that you're meant to give us all a donkey, a fucking cow, fucking 4 chickens, and 2 acres of land. Like, we want that shit now. It's worth, and they say, well, we can't give up on land. They're like, fine, 2 acres is worth freaking, $750,000 plus interest, plus we want our fucking, like, you know what I mean? And they say, well, everyone's owed like, owed $1 million whatever bucks or whatever. And like, they're like, every black person wants to give us our $1 million, give me our money.
And that's
it's not going to happen. I'm just saying.
And that's the same like with the in our country.
Some of them want money for the land. Some of them want the land because the land's like mining land, and they want to turn it into mining land and shit. Like, but no one's going to go live and like hunt kangaroos on it, unless they start a kangaroo meat factory. But none of them are going to go and oh yeah, no, we're going to go back to walk around in our undies with paint on our chest. Like,
that was the point that I was trying to get to, because that's really the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but they still say we want this. They can still claim to want stuff. Good luck with that one. Like, how's that worked out? Like, every so often, if they get really, really angry, they get like a little there's a few crumbs, go away for another 50 years. Yeah, I'm just being realistic. That's what happens. You know what I mean? They need to take lessons from Israel on how to fucking get land.
What do you mean? What about Israel?
It's a joke, that's all.
Do you know much about Israel? I don't know anything about it.
You make abundantly, obviously not. You don't.
No, but I'd like to know. I wish people would tell me.
What is it to know? It's just another fucking country, basically. Created the way most countries were, really, if you think about it. Just more recently than most other ones in the Western world, anyway.
Isn't Israel where the Christian religion sort of comes from?
As you ask. Personally, I'd say that no. But other people might say, yeah.
What's those lights down there near the kebab shop?
It's a UTO, unidentified trucking object.
Oh, yeah, an unidentified trucking object.
No, it's just
Very
a truck.
good point.
It's a truck.
Well, but look at those lights, though.
You do understand that, like, trucks have fucking big lights on them?
I do, but I've never noticed them reflected in that glass there. Like, I was just happened to look down. There's 2 ambulances went past there. I just wondered what it was, because it looked to me as though it was coming from inside the kebab shop. But you're saying it's a reflection from the truck that's outside.
Yes. Firstly, it'd be in the scooter shop, not the kebab shop, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's not going to come out on the video. My hand's starting to ache. If you've
Oh,
got
yeah, you're
anything
giving
more
yourself-
controversial to say, you better keep saying it because I
Not
can't
unless
hold
you're
it.
getting carpal tunnel syndrome in your wrist.
I have.
Yeah,
It's,
why don't you get a selfie stick or some shit so you don't get carpal tunnel? Because you will, or you already have. No, I mean, your age, what?
No, I didn't mean it like
Sorry
that.
if I
I was just
confused
trying
you.
to think to get back to finish on Is there?
Why did you choose to buy wallpaper? I don't understand.
Oh, because, well, like I say, I got a bit. Well, actually, it was so cold that wind came. But I was gonna, I couldn't carry them all with my hand, sort of thing, down to the thing. As it is, I had to, the fellow was waiting on the register while I got that bit of cat food and stuff, and I didn't want to go all the way back to the cold thing, to get it. Sometimes it's best probably for you to just go back and get a drink. Because they put those bottles on, it doesn't matter, but they put those bottles on the corner. But what about Israel? There's something about Israel.
What are you talking about?
Well, I don't know, but, like...
What do you believe it? You gotta stop fucking
No, I think
listening or reading, whatever you do.
I've got to find somewhere to go, haven't I? I mean, there's two ways of looking at moving, or holidaying for that matter. There's the company and the people around, and there's also the actual surrounding area, So I'd be willing to trade off some things because in some respects the people are more important even than the area, even though in the past I'd have said, well, if I was moving, the area would be more important, like where you might want to you might not want to go to a dry spot or a desert or something like that. You might prefer a bit of water, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess.
But it seems to be important to some people to claim that their original land, doesn't it? Or what was originally theirs.
Does that seem unfair to you?
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying that, no, I don't think so at all. But, I mean, the real thing is that really, in some respects, maybe no one owns anything, but at the same time...
Thanks, Klaus.
No, but, but that's because people are not willing to share, are they? Like, it has to be where some people have more...
No, but the only people that ever say that are lazy folks.
Well,
because they want everyone else to provide shit for them. You know what I mean? Like, if you're the one going out and doing all the work for everyone else, and you'd be like, hey, fuck this sharing thing. I'm going to start selling my shit to them or something. Like, fuck, I'm not doing all this for nothing when they're doing nothing. You know what I mean?
If people can only do what they can do. Everyone probably has some...
People can only do what they can do. What does that mean? No, everyone's got arms and legs. Everyone...
Well, that's true. Yeah, but, people can help in any way they can help. Some people might have more abilities than others. Some people...
So at that point, survival of the fittest would come into play. Based on your idea, you know what I mean?
Well, it depends on what you think the bottom line is, but I'm not going to
Bottom line is... Fuck off with your stupid shit. I need to sum everything up in one fucking sentence because I'm too stupid to understand anything more.
Oh, I didn't.
Really? Like, you really think like you fucking...
It's a practical side.
The dumber people are the smarter, seriously, though.
Well, but it's not fair. I know what you're saying, and that is how things work to some extent. But that's may not be the real picture, though. Dark corridor opens, it says on the side of our bus. Oh dear.
You're embarrassing yourself here.
What?
You're just embarrassing yourself, yeah.
Why? Total lockdown. We've still got a few buses going. Look at all these buses piling past. They're all off their schedules, I'd say.
Probably.
I can remember when the buses used to be on time.
Well, you're old.
Well, yes, I am old. Well, I'm not young, that's for sure.
Are you proud of it?
No, I didn't mean it like that, but
No, that was a funny way to take it.
yeah, well. Why wouldn't you want to go to England, Patrick?
It's not. It's not like it's go to England and just you're there and do what you want and you're back and you haven't spent a cent and you haven't.
I paid
There's
the
more
fare.
considerations.
I paid the fare.
Great. You can also pay my accommodation. I don't want to go and stay with some weirdo.
Maybe you could stay separately. You know, like maybe.
Why do you want me to go to England? Why do you want to go to England so much?
Well, it's on my bucket list, you know.
You don't have a bucket. You piss in your bucket.
That's not true.
Tell me bucket you fucking have. Bucket list. How big's this bucket? It's like fucking the world's smallest bucket. It's got one thing in it, like England.
More or less. That's probably true.
Get a better bucket, right?
Chuck doesn't seem to like the conversation.
Do you want to try those shoes? If not, I'll get rid of them. 'Cause they're not really worth selling. They're only like $10, $15, maybe $20 at the most.
Where did you get those from?
Those ones I found in the park.
Oh, they're the ones we found in the park
They're the same
2 or
size.
3 nights ago.
Yeah, they're the same size as those ones
They
here.
look new.
They're pretty close.
Yeah, they're clean.
I think someone got the wrong size or something. I just didn't like them. Maybe someone bought them, went for a run in them and thought, I don't like them, I'm not comfortable or something. Sometimes shoes...
They're better than those other ones you found at the garage thing there.
Yeah, they were finished. Those just about, they had like a couple of months worth left in them.
But even those ones you gave me, like, they are the right size, but they're not real comfortable. I think that my insteck's too high because I have a pain across there now in more recent times. I'm not
Try
quite sure
taking the
why.
laces out and see how they feel.
Yeah, but the only thing is then they'd fall off, wouldn't they? But these look actually
Try
good.
them without the laces, put it in, and then put the laces back in. Don't go out, like, come down here with the laces out. Just take it out.
But these actually look quite nice, but I think they might be... I have small feet.
Yeah, I'll probably be too small for your big man feet, but I'll try them.
I don't have big man feet, Patrick. That's
Well,
not
why are
good.
these shoes always too small for you? Every size I get. Well, there was ones over the other day, they were like 13 or something. They were too small.
You're just making that up.
Something like that.
But the only good thing, even when I was young, I always used to think that my feet were, like I never gave it much thought, to be honest. But I used to always wear thongs and things. But
I like these laces. They're like stretchy laces.
I always had small feet, so.
Yeah, they got like elastic in them.
Oh yeah,
It's a good idea. It gives you a little. It's probably a good idea.
Good idea for me.
For you, it is. Yeah. I was just thinking. I wonder if that
I
is
get
actually
those
mine.
ideas,
Actually,
don't
mine. No, mine in my Puma ones are like that. Actually, I think. Yeah, I think the ones in my running shoes, my Puma shoes, are actually like that. In those white ones.
Where
and
did they
those
get all these ideas from?
What? The idea of making your shoe a
no,
little bit of
but
elastic.
Do they just look at people and see that
It's
people?
a team's job. There's a team of people, and they like you ask a question. It's not as simple as it's never as simple as
Sorry.
one word. But
Oh, jeez. Sorry.
the way it works is like you have a company that designs shoes, and they'll have a division of their company dedicated to new products, right? So here's why I don't bother talking because it's like 5 seconds later you're just like.
I can't help it. But
I know,
hasn't he
it's
only
like
got one headlight on there? What's happened to his
He's
other?
got a light out, like a fucking 50-year-old shitbox car that he has. Why do you feel the need to interrupt every time I talk?
Sorry, I just noticed.
Stop saying sorry about it.
Sorry.
Don't say sorry about it. You fucking do it all the time. You're not sorry about it.
I just wondered why you only had the one.
Because
light
one
side
doesn't work, obviously.
I guess. But isn't that?
You want to go ring the police and call them and get them down here or not?
No.
Is it that big a deal for you? Someone's got a headlight out.
No, I just noticed it. That's
The next car will drive past in a minute with too many headlights. It'll be too bright, and you'll complain about that. And then one will be too noisy, and then one will have a headlight flashing or something.
I get bothered.
It just
Don't
doesn't
I, by
fucking...
it?
No, you just want attention.
Do I?
You pretend to get bothered to get attention.
Okay.
Fuck off. You don't fucking lie to me.
Okay.
You know it's true.
Well, I have to admit that
Like, if you just got bothered, you wouldn't try to drag everyone else into your bullshit. Like, by doing what you did then. You just
well,
go
I like
like...
a bit of sympathy, you know, like a... No, but I like not
You can't
sympathy,
get sympathy if you don't listen ever.
but you know the old saying, a problem... What is that old saying? A problem shared is a problem... It makes it less, even if you don't solve something, if you, at least for me. Anyway.
It's just you heaping all your emotional baggage and bullshit onto other people. That might be good for you. I don't think other fucking people around you feel like me. I know it's a fucking nightmare.
But I don't mind listening to your baggage as well.
What
Like,
baggage?
share it.
What baggage?
Well, if you've got any complaints.
I don't, what? I don't make up shit like you. Just, the only complaint is you, this shit. I don't make up shit, just, like, most people are fucking afraid to be happy because they feel like everyone else is whinging. I need to whinge as well because the only way to get attention is to complain about things and so you can complain about more. And they sit around and complain about things in a circle jerk. That's what most people fucking do. It's the most sad thing in the world. You see like 5 people standing around and go, oh, how good is that? And they go, oh yeah, that's awesome. And they start mucking around. It's very rare in comparison to like, oh, how bad is such and such? Oh yeah, I saw it on the news. It's not good at all. Hopefully they can run on it. Get a fucking life. Like, that's literally get a life. Like, take interest in something that's actually your life.
Well, I sometimes
Not like a
notice
fucking,
it's...
why does that car have that? I'm going to interrupt this conversation to bring some late-breaking news about a fucking car with a headlight out.
I didn't mention
Seriously, but it's so stupid. So annoying.
when you put it like that, it is actually funny, you know, when you put it like that.
It's fucking stupid, but whatever.
I have to admit my sense of humour isn't what it used to be, but, which is sad, but
Sad what it used to be.
well, it's good if you can laugh occasionally at something that bothers you even, I suppose.
Yeah. But you could make someone else laugh.
Well, you know, I have complained about the car lights to you now for a number of years.
I know. Just listen to that sentence. Say that sentence back to yourself. I've complained to you for a number of years about the car lights.
Yeah, you did explain what it
You've
was.
been complaining to me for years.
I'm not saying there isn't an explanation for it. There always is,
Do you
but,
think
but that
do you
still
think
doesn't
you have-
change that it's.
Do
That
you think
it's
you need to do it for years? Do you think like...
well, the thing is that you have to experience it every day, don't you? Because the cars are always there, and they've always got the lights, haven't they? You know, so it's like that. So
You're making it out like
Oh.
it's some sort of big physical imposition onto you when like you can barely notice it.
well, I notice it.
No, you look out for it and then you like make sure that other people notice that you notice it.
Do you think it's a problem in my head, or do you think it's real? Because I'm just thinking. I mean, I think it's real.
I think it's
But at
you
the same
looking
time-
for attention.
Yeah, but it happens when there's no one there. Like, it's annoying all the time. I know.
Yeah,
I
but
mentioned.
you do the whole stupid thing where like you make sure that like if a car's bright in your eye, you do the whole like, so that like you know they'll know that you're upset that it's a bit bright or something. You don't just walk past and you know like everything
That's
you
not
do is
true.
like looking for a response.
I don't think that's.
You know,
I don't think.
it's the way it feels anyway. Lots of people do that. Like it's the same. I know people like you can count on 2 hands the number of people I know that do that sort of thing. But like.
Well, I do it if I'm making a video, but I don't do it when I'm not, which is most of the time.
No, you do.
I mean, I just think that it's. I mean, look at it. I mean, look. I mean, those trucks are just putting all those red lights on just as they go past there. Didn't they just do that, or was that my
They're not
imagination?
putting any lights on, Mum, unless they were braking, in which case the light would have come
Yeah,
on.
but the lights come on all
But-
down the side of them as well. Like, what's
Then
the
they were
point in that?
braking.
Why do they have to have them down the side as well?
It's a fucking like because usually there's no lights. Like you obviously you could. I'm sorry to sound like I'm getting frustrated, but I'm getting frustrated because like I feel like if you just thought for like 2 seconds about things, I would. See, that's that little cry for attention. That little thing you did there. That's the cry for
I
attention.
only moved my hand.
No. The thing you did. You don't protect your
Hey,
hands.
look at that one there. Look at it. Didn't he just put all those lights on as I went past, or am I going off my nut? I mean,
He just pulled out.
but why does he have to have all that amount of lights? Didn't they just have a light on the back? I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't look, like if I didn't look at it negatively, I'd
Why do
probably,
you look at it
probably say it
negatively?
was
Why
quite
do you look at
pretty
it negatively?
almost.
Why do you
It's
look
just
at it
that-
negatively?
It's just that
Why do you
some
look
of-
at it negatively?
Well, only because the other car lights tend to be a bit bright and they get in your eyes. Whereas with those red ones, if I was back in the old days and I saw that,
Why
truck
do you
with
look at it negatively?
I was trying to explain it.
No, you weren't. You were saying if I was in the old days, it has nothing to do with like why you look at it negatively. You're saying, oh, you're trying to give me like reasons of why you would if it was in the old days, like, but why do you look at it negatively? It's a very simple fucking question.
Because they're too bright. They get in your eyes.
They don't. They're less bright than like any other light we can see right now. Street lights are brighter than big bright lights. You know, like all the car lights are brighter than those little fucking
That's
lights.
what I'm
on the
talking
side.
about. That's what I'm talking about. The car
You can
lights.
barely see it. Look.
Yeah,
What
that's
are you
what.
talking about.
No, that's what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
so what are you talking about? Where are we? Like, how
I was
are they
talking
annoying?
about the car lights. But see, look,
Great, you're talking about car lights.
Look,
How are they annoying? Where? Like, what's annoying about these fucking car lights?
I'm getting used to them now. They don't look as bright at the moment when you said that. Whereas
It's almost as though you're not standing on an incline on a hill where it's going up into your face.
you do notice it when you go down the streets that I do. That's right, where they do get in your face. And but what I was saying was that it's like, yes, because of that. And then what in the past, if you saw the odd, truck with some lights, which I might think was almost pretty, but because there's so many other lights, it's cumulative. So you tend to then think, oh yeah, they're all overdoing it. Yeah, it's a bit like that, I think.
If you say so.
That's it. But really,
Your
it's
reality.
but it's really more the brightness. But also, you do wonder why they have to have so many more now,
I
though.
know.
Just the same.
Why? Who cares? Why do you care?
Well, I just more curious, really.
I'll ask them one day. If they don't get angry at you, if you don't ask them like a rude person, they might just tell you.
Well, I think a lot of it's.
You could spend 5 seconds even looking it up yourself.
Well, I think a lot of it's
Or you
safety.
could just speculate.
Well, well, no, I didn't say. No, they weren't bright, but there was a lot of them, though, wasn't there? Like they were all round the truck, but they weren't bright, but they were all red and all round the truck. I just don't know why they have to have them on the side.
No, okay.
I'm not saying that it matters, but and they never used to, did they?
Yeah, no, they did. Yeah. Have you ever been outside of, like, Sydney?
Well, not a lot, no. I have to admit that.
So, there's not street lights everywhere, you understand, right?
I know, but this is in the city. That's what I'm saying. I
Oh,
agree.
okay,
with
so
you.
they should just, what should they do? They should, like, go and take the lights all off and disconnect them all when they go in the city.
And you're saying they're going out of Sydney,
No, I'm saying they're trucks.
so they're going out of Sydney.
I don't know where the fuck they're going, but I'm sure they do.
Okay. Well, that's a logical explanation. Okay, fair enough. I'm not gonna.
As if you need me to tell you.
I just noticed that they never used to, though. Just the same. Maybe they're more safety conscious. That's right. And more that way because they never. Because the trucks have been going along here. Like of a night time, I used to notice them even years ago.
You didn't get many trucks along here. Most of the trucks along here are because of WestConnex at the moment, the construction. Once it's finished, most of them won't be going along here.
Well, I'd be very relieved with that, if that's the case.
So don't pretend you have lots of trucks going past in the past.
Well, they did
trucks
used
you
to.
had going past in the past were like delivery trucks.
Well, they did used to have some trucks like of a night time, but now you have them going all the time. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm just saying. Yeah, trucks like to travel at a night time because usually there's not as much traffic and stuff.
Yep.
But these ones, they go all day.
Yep.
When do you think that Works Connects will be finished anyway? Oh,
Not sure.
it's been going on a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it almost was finished, but now there's. But
There's different parts of it and stuff, so like it's depends if you're talking about the part near you or whatever. The part near you's done basically.
they were doing work down on the highway the other night there.
Yeah.
You know, just down on the City West Bank at the end of the street there.
Fair enough.
I could go down and have a look, but I can't. You know, don't always go there. Just wonder what. Just wonder what they were doing. They probably left a letter in the box though.
Oh, but you should go down there and demand they tell you personally.
Well, I don't think that's right.
Don't chain yourself to a fucking bulldozer. So I'm not even opposed to it. I just want attention.
You think it's all about getting attention, don't you?
Subconsciously, most of it is. I know you don't think it is. Like, consciously you don't think it is. Trust me, subconsciously, most of it is. Most people complain about, like, majority of things they complain about, they don't really emotionally care about.
Well,
Especially things that they can react to when they're around others, that will elicit a response from the others, and it gives them that thing. But it's not a terrible thing. It's a natural kind of thing, really, in a way. Really common.
well, look, there may be some truth to what you're saying, but at the same time, you know, can't you still be upset by something?
That's not what I'm. That's of course. That's not what I'm saying at all. You're genuinely upset about something. 9 times out of 10, you won't go around trying to get everyone to like give you attention at that time because you won't feel like it. But when it's that faux sort of anger at something that I don't really care about, but I can be like angry and against it or whatever, all that sort of shit. Majority of that's like faux rage sort of thing. Not that like the subconscious doesn't convince the conscious that this is a good thing to do, like, and that you'll do it thinking that you really don't like something. But you know, if you really stop and think about it for a fair while, you'll realise that you probably don't really care anywhere near the extent of what you act like you do. Which means there's a disconnect between the way you're acting and the way you're feeling, which means there's got to be a reason for that, which in my opinion would be getting sympathy or attention, or in some case just like even just
Well, if you
venting,
can't do something about something, obviously a little bit of sympathy is all you can get, and it does help.
which is a form of attention.
It is.
So therefore,
yes.
so if you want sympathy, you want attention.
Well, if you want to put it that way, I'm not going to deny that. But,
Good.
But what else can you do in your life? I mean, it's, you know, because it's...
Work out why you're looking for.
No,
people
but
to
it's a
give
big
you-
burden to carry.
You ask me a question, I could tell you the answer, but you don't want to know.
No, but if you think that, you know, like, I mean, obviously if it's just personal, perhaps then it is. But if it's like where you think it's something that's out of your control, and like, say it's like a big thing, you know, like the lockdown, which is out of your
The
control.
actual subject doesn't matter at all. It's the least relevant thing in the world.
I don't think it matters. I don't.
You don't really that much. I know you say. I know you think you do. You think like you honestly think you do.
Oh, well, thank you. At least you're saying that's
Your conscious
that's the
brain-
best I've ever heard from you.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Yes,
Your subconscious will lie to you all day, don't worry. But it's doing it for a reason. Sorry, your subconscious will lie to your consciousness all day, which then is what you think. Sort of.
well, sometimes you don't understand
You
fully.
really don't give a fuck about the lockdown, really. The only thing you do give a fuck about not going into Coles because you're not getting the dopamine hit and the serotonin thing, and you're missing that from going in there. But aside from that aspect of it, I wasn't thinking about Coles or lockdown. I was thinking of the whole lockdown thing. But your ability to access your serotonin stores and such, that's
Well, you might be right.
Yeah.
Although I
And
have to admit, I haven't been enjoying the supermarket as much in recent times, but I did used to like to go and buy my things, because if you're going to have some dinner or something, you want to know what you're buying. It's interesting to look around and find something a bit tasty or a bit delicious or something new, or or just to I mean, what else have you got in life?
And then put it back because your oven doesn't work and get bubble and
well,
squeak.
that's what it's come to in recent times.
Yeah,
now,
it's like
even
Mum
that
was
has
walking
been.
around the fucking.
It shows you how depressed I am, I think, or something, or fearful or something. I don't know, because yes, I mean, I do like
That's
to-
just an anxiety thing. Like OCD.
It does limit what
It's just
I
anxiety
put
combined
in
with
the
OCD, that one.
What's that?
That one's just basically anxiety combined with OCD.
Well, sometimes the OCD overrides other things that I like. Yes, it can happen.
And both those things, anxiety and OCD,
What's that?
in both those things, like anxiety and OCD, in terms of being actual disorders, are fake as well. Well, not fake, but not real, so to speak.
Are you saying that I just do it for no reason?
No, I just mean the labels are fake, and that's all.
Well,
Like, you're really what you are. I'm not saying you don't exist and you don't do what you do. Just saying the fact that deserves its own label is a load of shit. And there's
Well,
no
they have to put
actual-
labels on things, don't they? Because otherwise,
Why?
well,
Otherwise, they can't treat it and sell you shit for it and say it's something. Like,
well, it is something you probably would like. You should. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, like,
What is this thing of like just because people like if you're born a certain way?
Well, I wasn't born.
Well,
I don't think. I mean, it's something that develops. I think. I mean, some things might be born, but I don't think.
whatever.
I
A
think
seed
I
was
worried
planted.
about
A seed was
germs
planted.
when I was born.
A seed was planted and you got a retarded vegetable. However, whatever happened, fertilizer,
Something like
whatever. You know what I mean? But like, it doesn't change the fact.
Oh dear. But I mean, well, you're right this way that sometimes you can, you're not always fully conscious. Like that's right. You might think that you are, and you might think why you're saying things and doing things, even with other people and stuff. But you still could have, as you say, at some, you're not. Even when you're aware, sometimes you can still have fear going on. So you can. It's a bit like you can be aware of something, but the fear, I don't know where that comes from, but fear can still override what you really want to do. And
Fear of what?
Well, that, I don't know. It's probably just something that's been in you or something, or maybe.
What's the actual fear of?
Well, you might. I don't know.
Or is that just a bullshit reason to cover up the actual reason?
Well, it could be sometimes, but I don't know. It's. I mean, yourself that they used to say that something's only regarded as what you'd call a disorder, or
Yeah, I don't care if they say that.
Yeah.
So? I think the whole fucking Freudian Rockefeller medicine thing's an absolute load of shit. You want an example? You know what happens when doctors and nurses go on strike in most places? Most places. You know what happens?
I don't know.
The rate of death goes down. less people die.
It's a bit much, Patrick.
No, like you can look it up. It's a well-known phenomenon that happens around the world.
Is that because the doctors
Majority
and the
of
nurses
it, to be fair, a lot of it's because the first thing that most of the time when there's a doctors and nurses strike, they still do like emergency surgeries and emergency things, but they usually put off all elective surgeries and all non-emergency surgeries and all that sort of stuff and treatments and things. But it just goes to show that those things are probably better off not being done half the time. Depending on the individual circumstance of the risk versus reward, but a lot of the time the risk is like, oh, you're going to have a little bit of a sore shoulder or something for the rest of your life, and it's like, oh, well, I'll take the risk, and then it's like, oh, sorry, you passed away at the age of 28, infection from the surgery, complications. It's like literally one of the largest killing things in the world is like complications, like post-surgery complications. More so in countries that don't have the best medical systems, but at the same time, like even third world countries have got hospitals and things. It's not like they're fucking, like the world's very connected these days. You can look up on YouTube how to do fucking heart surgery. Like most places have got, like, you know what I'm saying? Like even like third world places have got sanitized hospitals that are funded. Like I said a minute ago, Bill Gates and all those people, they're funding fucking medicine hospitals all over the place. So it's not like they don't have access to things like, oh, we don't have access to fresh water and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's not something people should be complaining about. It's something that's incredibly easily fixed if people actually were really struggling to get access to water and such. Like, firstly, do what every other fucking place in the world does. Go live near the coast. Fucking idiots. It's like people going to the top of Everest and going like, it's very cold up here. Who would have thought it? You don't see the Aboriginals in the middle of a desert going like, oh, there's no water, we're fucking dying of thirst. Like, no, they fucking would go to the coast. They didn't live in the middle of a desert. Even, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not fucking retards. Their biggest problem was they just couldn't stop having wars non-stop, the Aboriginals. Have you ever seen an old map of Australia where they drew up like all the fucking tribes? Oh. You ever see it? Like, and then you think about the fact that like a lot of them were arguing with each other all the time. Crazy. I mean, like thousand different mobs, and they all look like really weird. What?
I don't suppose that's something that would be, what's the word? Is it publicised or brought much to the attention of people?
Of course.
No, it does tend to.
And also, it's like not something that like the white people knew much about, because once we started turning up and like blowing the fuck out of everyone, they were like, hey, we think we'll just work together against these guys with these things that shoot these things out of them. In fact, they didn't know what the word shoot meant because they didn't have a word for shoot, because they didn't have anything that shot anything, so they didn't need a word for it. You don't need a word for something until you actually have the thing. So.
Well, yes, I suppose that would have,
would have been like fire hand. These fire hand things, not good, baby.
Yes, even if you have the numbers.
They didn't have the numbers either, really.
Didn't they?
Like, they did if they, like, in the small, like, on the large scale thing, but, like, in each, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like the whole of Australia was at, like, Cornell. That was probably, a few thousand people, a few thousand Aboriginals, I guess. You know what I mean? Because, like, they were spread across the whole of Australia, and it was all very, it wasn't like there were lots of, like, roads and things connecting everywhere and stuff, so it was kind of like,
I suppose that's
a
true.
lot of it would have been like they came across a tribe and a mob and they sort of slaughtered them, and then they come across the next tribe and a mob and the next slaughtered. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like there was ever a huge force of.
I suppose Australia would have been largely barren, wouldn't it?
You see these, not so much barren, but like spaced out still. Like you see these. Like,
still is in a
think
way.
About how many,
think
about like if you leave Sydney right now and just go like, it's still the same way you'll drive like a fair way and then you'll come to like a township of 500-600 people. You know what I mean? 800 people. Sometimes like 150 people. You know, little townships you come along. You know what I mean? And you drive for another 20 minutes, you come to another little one. It would have been kind of the same, but like you'd sort of walk for an hour or whatever. You'd come to like a tribe's area and they'd have like probably some stuff around their camps and all that. And then you'd go to another area and you know what I mean? Like they would. Like, they show you a map, like where, now even they say like, oh, this land was traditionally, Mungabingu country or whatever. And then the next day they'll be like, oh, this land here was traditionally Pingawangu country or whatever. and it's like all the different names for the different regions they had. You know what I mean? There were fucking hundreds of them. Like, they were always killing each other non-stop. You know, probably eating each other too. Just saying, like, if you killed it, wouldn't you at least, you know?
You always have to say something wrong, don't you?
What do you mean? Oh, you're doing a stupid video thing again. That's fucking...
I did turn it back on.
In that
Because
case,
I saw the thing going down there near the thing, and then I saw that thing go past, and I thought there might have been some action going to happen, but unfortunately, no luck for the video. But
No. Anyway.
who knows what's really happened in the world anyway, or even in the past for that matter.
It's a very vague statement, but okay.
Well, it is, but and maybe you can't focus. I now realise or think, what's the point in focusing so much on the past? It's only the present, because everyone knows you can't change the past.
I already see where this is going. I already see where this is going. It's going to be like 5 or 6 little cliche sayings and such. And
well, it is like that, I have to admit.
And then,
But
like,
there's a
I
bit
could
of
turn
truth
around and
to
say the same, but 5 or 6 cliche sayings that go the opposite way, and they're just cliche saying versus cliche saying. Or you could use your factual thing of most of the things that happen for a reason, based on things that have some sort of historical relevance. Things don't just sort of start happening now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if you're going into something, if you're going into like a fight or a game of something, it's good to know research about your opponent. It's good to
I
know.
would imagine that would be the case.
Yeah, I'm not
You
saying
need
that's
to
like.
find their weakness, wouldn't
I'm not saying don't walk like a retard. I'm not saying it's like a literal thing. I'm just saying that if you're looking to find an answer to something, you don't like skip everything that has happened already and try to figure it out, or just like these little blinkers on of what's happening now.
No, well, you're probably right.
Also, there's very little
I'm
information.
not saying you can't discuss the past. In fact, it could be even from a personal point of view, it's your past is still always there. Someone said that to me.
I'm talking about like from the
past.
start.
Someone said that to me years ago.
Right.
That when I might have said something. No, but I might have said something there like, "Oh, the past is always with you," and look, that's true.
Well, it's stupid cliche sayings. They mean nothing.
Yeah, well, I know, but,
Sound like a fucking first grade footballer. Well, thanks credit to the boys, or history tends to repeat what they say. Fucking think for yourself. Like, literally, there is always going to be some sort of stupid saying that will, like, match up with the argument you're trying to make.
oh, good.
It doesn't mean at all that it makes the argument right.
Well, I just
just means
use it
that
to
there's
try
a
to
saying.
explain things. That's all. But I'm not saying
But it doesn't help the argument at all. It's just a different way of saying the same thing.
Oh yes, it does just sound impressive.
It doesn't sound impressive.
Well,
Don't even say that at all. Don't get me wrong. It sounds like you can't think for yourself. But
well, yeah. Well, I was actually going to say a saying at the start of the thing that I'd heard on the YouTube many times. I was actually going to use it because you could be blunt like you do and just say things out, but if you put it in a more
boring.
well, it's not really boring because
No, it
people
is.
kind of get it.
Who's people? I'm the only person here. It's fucking boring. Everyone's heard the same cliche bullshit over and over and over and over.
Well, I haven't heard a lot of them, but if I hear it, I'll just. But it doesn't matter. It's not. I know what you're saying, but I don't know. Don't ask me. I just.
I'll give you a tip. When you're having conversations with like a stranger or someone who you just sort of half chatty to, like in a shop or somewhere, like embrace the silence and like try to really enjoy it and like see if the other person, like, sort of watch the other person and see if they start to feel uncomfortable in the silence.
Yeah, usually it's me that feels uncomfortable.
So most people,
You're quite
everyone
right.
does,
You
everyone
get
just,
caught.
nearly everyone does it. Nearly everyone just does that. So how about this lockdown, eh? Yeah, no, yeah. Anyway, I better get moving. I guess at least there's less traffic at the moment with the lockdown. That's one good thing, eh? It's like they just sit there and just go like. Occasionally, maybe make some funny eyes, even just to try and really, go like just.
Yeah, but you enjoy
And then watch them start going. So you're walking back to the on your own, are you, sir? Ma'am, sir? Yes, ma'am, sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry, sometimes, the women today, some of them, oh no. And before you know it, they'll be tripping over themselves and making an idiot out of themselves and being racist and transsexual or something. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, you just embrace the silence, is my point. It's a fun little thing to do. It's a fun thing to do, honestly. Like, when you're just talking to someone and, like, remember I used to do it with that. You know how I remember I used to do it with who it was fun with because it was like the both of you sort of thing. The stupid old bat that lives up opposite Treat Park. You know the old bat that lives opposite Treat Park? Old grey pet. Little fucking grey pet.
Well, I thought she was on the level when I first spoke to her, as you know. But
On
she.
the level. She's on the level. She is fucking grapefruit. That's all she's to do.
What I'd like
She's
to.
dope.
No, but. Some of those trucks have a few problems, don't they?
No, that sounds just when he's accelerating. The reason
Why
it
does he
sounds
accelerate?
because okay, again, I feel like sometimes you just like
Just ask him.
I know, but like think about it for a second before you ask. Why would he be accelerating?
Oh, I don't know.
No,
Why?
think. Why would he be accelerating?
Jeez, I think I've gone all numb here. Sorry.
Your mouth's still moving.
Yeah, yes, that's true. I
Why
think probably even on death's door I'll still be...
why would you? I'm just going to keep going because I started talking first. Even on death's door, you'll still be blabbering. Yes, you'll still be interrupting.
Except no one will be listening.
No, when you won't be talking because you only do it when someone else does. Like, you'll sit here in silence for 2 hours.
Actually, I hope there is no one
See?
around. No, I'm just... Sorry. It doesn't matter. Sorry, go on.
It's not saying like you can't even embrace the silence. You can't even like do it when the other person is talking. You get no hope. You should start by just embracing the semi-silence.
Why is he accelerating? Isn't that downhill more there? Or have I got... Is it my eyes no good that way?
He was accelerating to go the speed limit. To keep the truck moving in a forward momentum to get to his destination. Like, I really thought you would have figured that one out by the time, but
Well,
you
it was
know.
noisier than the others anyway. So
The sound of the truck going was the normal sound, and when he put his foot on the accelerator, that was the brrrr. And it probably sounded louder because it was quiet and then starting. But most
Well,
trucks,
of course, yes, that's true. Oh dear.
if you listen to a truck when it starts moving, it's very noisy with most of it. You get up and move your legs around or something. Don't
I think those shoes are going to be too small for them.
you? Probably.
Probably a size too small, I'd say.
Yeah, the same as those ones you put on last night. They were a size too small, so say they are.
It's a pity though, because they look almost new.
Yeah.
And they actually look like something I'd wear because they look as though they'd be reasonably comfortable,
Yeah, but not too bad.
not too heavy, and I'll give them a go though. But they are actually quite a small size.
Yeah.
I better fold up the video. I think I've lost sight of what I'm even doing here, to be honest.
Wasting your time.
Probably wasting your time.
Giving yourself carpal tunnel.
What's that?
So wasting your time crying for attention, giving yourself carpal tunnel in your wrist.
Probably. Yeah, that's probably actually true because you do put more effort into some things and then it comes back at you. Quite right.
What?
Well, like.
I just said you're wasting your time like fucking crying out for attention, doing stupid shit and hurting your wrist. I don't know where
That's what I mean.
coming back at you and all this stuff. Like, you're not doing anything, you're just doing silly stuff. You know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you're trying to get attention, you end up with a sore wrist. So that's the price you pay for doing it, I suppose. If you want, oh, look at that fellow there. I shouldn't film him, should I? But he's certainly looking for it. What is he trying to prove? Now, he'd be very good in a movie, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I
didn't film him,
I
maybe.
want to see you and him have a race somewhere.
Well, I have to admit that I might just be able to beat him, probably. Maybe.
You got no hope.
Or maybe he's deceptive.
You've got no
Maybe
chance
he's
in the
fitter
world.
than what he really looks.
You seriously think you even walk close to that?
What do you mean? You mean that he's, even in his state, that he's faster than me?
Just the way he was going then without even trying is faster than you could ever move.
Okay. Well, you might be right.
I feel like that's true.
I think he was a little bit...
But if he put in like a little bit of effort, I'm sure he could go faster.
I think he was a little bit under the influence too, don't you?
What's your excuse?
Well, that's right. That's true.
I'm always...
He's got a brake problem. Look at all the lights on the
He's
back.
stopping because there's a red light.
Yes, I know. Of course I know, but
In a second you'll hear him
if he
start.
wasn't going so fast, he wouldn't have to screech his brakes, though, would he?
He's got a truck full of fucking slow. He probably would a little bit. But like, yeah, if he was going slower, he might not have to.
They didn't used to do that.
It's
They
not
drive
really-
like maniacs now. You notice
Yes,
that?
they're all maniac drivers. That's why they're
They're
just
like-
piling up and
yeah,
crashes
sort
everywhere.
of.
All these trucks. It's just like I see them burning on the side of the
No,
road
they
every
don't.
night on the way home.
I have to admit they
One there,
don't.
one there, one there.
I have to admit you're right. They know what they're doing, but at the same time they do tend to go faster along here of a night than
It's
what they
almost
used
as though they're like, trying to do something in a hurry. Has anyone ever like? Geez, I've never heard of truck driving. Like these truck drivers, like really pushing the limits of going fast, and next you know they'll be trying to stay awake for longer so they can drive further. What's the world coming to?
Yeah,
You know,
I suppose so.
I'm sure in the future they'll even take drugs to stay awake.
True.
Fucking insane. Jeez, man. He's driving along here. He's
Yeah.
probably got a needle hanging out of his arm. Campbell's seafood, probably fucking Campbell's heroin inside there. Seriously. All much ado about nothing. It's gonna be hilarious when there's like a proper happening that happens. Like people are gonna be like unable to like turn up their reaction scale because like they're already all maxed out to like reacting to 11 because they got extra salt on their fucking eggs for breakfast, and like it's like something we were talking about before, like aliens or something like that, or UFOs or something. It's like they literally couldn't react more to something like that than how they react to like seeing someone in the shops that's not doing the right thing, or something like that. Like it's people won't have an extra level of reaction to go up to when something really
Well, I
exciting
think you're
happens.
right this way.
It's going to be a very let-down thing.
You are right this way.
Don't need to try and turn it into like a philosophical thing. It was just it's simply a thing of like people make such a fucking big deal out of nothing. And if there ever is an actual happening, which there hasn't been for a long, long time, people won't people will try to react like it's a big deal, but other people won't take it seriously because they'll be like, oh, wait, everyone reacts like this to everything. Remember how they reacted to that whole fucking virus thing and all the fucking this thing? It's like, when you actually get a proper fucking thing, people will realise like that they haven't lived through shit.
Well, there's a bit of truth to that because, how do you react to the difference? How do you show the difference between something that really is really
You ever heard of the boy who cried wolf? Basically that.
yes, it is like that, because
How is that hard to figure out? That's what I was
if
saying.
you're living in a certain...
No, just if you're a little fucking crybaby that makes a big deal out of every little thing, then when you actually have something to complain about, no one. It's like Pink. He'll have a real heart attack and everyone will go, yeah, I know, go call an ambulance if you want, I don't know. Everyone assumes every time he's bullshitting now. Because he 9 times out of 10 is, 8 times out of 10 is. You know what I mean? And like 6 times out of 10 is like exaggerating massively. And like 1 or 2 times he's serious. Unfortunately, nobody's got time for that.
Yeah, but I think
When you're a
that's
fucking
true.
retard and when you you got no redeeming features, no one's got time for that. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you're right this way but it is hard to sometimes. Everything's comparative, and it is hard. That's right, to really show the difference between
Why?
when you're upset about something that's
No, it's not.
that's that's more that's out of your control, but it's still something that's kind of what you
sounds
think
so
is
autistic.
normal. A bit like if you
Should be
lose.
at the front of a textbook. How to know if your friend's autistic? When they say that it's hard to tell people the difference between a small reaction to something and a huge reaction to something. Now, if you find this hard to do, you may be autistic. Consider taking up Formula One driving. Really? That's the whole point of what I'm saying. Don't make a big fucking deal out of bullshit like everyone else does. That was the whole point. If you do that, then no one's going to give a fuck when you actually have a problem. Because they're going to be like, oh, that's that whinging bitch that whinges about fucking everything.
Well, that's
And
true.
rightfully so.
But
Rightfully so.
you're right this way that it's there's personal things, and then there's your environment, and
And then there's like headlights that are driving past. Which
that's
are
the
just nothing.
environment.
No, it's not.
Well,
That's just nothing. That's
Well,
what I mean. That's nothing.
well, it
If you
is.
say that's something, when there's really something, no one's going to give a fuck. Because it's nothing.
Well, if
You can pretend it's something and you're getting your attention here that you want.
well,
It's nothing. You know it's nothing.
well, in
90%
its
of the shit you complain about is nothing.
well, I know that in
You know.
itself, but well, anyway, I can't really, haven't got the energy to elaborate on that now, I don't think. But I get what you're saying, that if you think that it's just a change of lights or something, in other words, that they've got different lights on the car or something, and then you spend your life complaining. Of course, it does seem that you're bothered by things that you probably should either
You are.
get away from or
Get away from
or,
it. No,
yeah,
like,
or not be bothered so much. But but
stop pretending to be bothered.
but you see,
You're not really bothered by them. It's fake. It's phony.
well, that would kind of imply, I think, that you don't really want to live in the world anyway. That you just that you do just enjoy the whinging and the complaining and that, and you don't. It's not really bothering you. You're just making a mountain out of a molehill. I get that. Drama.
Well, you fucking retards need to stop listening to each other on fucking YouTube, carrying on like taking yourself seriously. Like your opinions matter and you've got things to complain about when you don't. Like everyone just realises that.
Well, our opinions
but
don't.
You see it now, like you just have to jump in. I don't care, so you can jump in all you want. Like I know that it's a load of shit. Either that, or you are just not human if you really care about those things. If you're doing it for like social bullshit reasons, I can understand, which is why most people do all those things. If you genuinely like have emotion towards those things, then there's something wrong with you. If you're being judged on human standards, I guess. Being judged on fucking nut job standards.
Oh well, I don't think I heard this.
Like seriously, try to find one person that doesn't have a fucking label.
Well, you are right this way. There is
Because
a
it makes everyone feel special.
Well, I never
Your
used
little
to.
thing is, I'm going to complain about this, and I'm going to go about that and about this, because it's so unfair to me, and I'm being, you're not. I'm being pushed down by this, and men are holding me back, women are holding me back, everyone's racist towards me, I'm being oppressed by the aliens, and the Jews are doing it. Everyone's fucking, oh my god. Literally everybody has got some sort of label, I reckon somebody else is to blame for something that they didn't get or do or something. This is when you know that, like, societal collapse is not far away, historically speaking anyway.
But if someone
People
is,
are
but
arguing
if
that.
someone is hurting you personally, surely that's reasonable.
Who's hurting you personally?
I
No
didn't
one's
say
hurting you
me.
personally.
I wasn't talking about
Yeah,
me.
I know, but
I was
so
trying
what
to
you're
be
trying to do is,
general.
you're trying to find a situation that doesn't describe what I'm talking about, and say, well, what about that one? Like, yeah, if someone's hurting you personally, defend yourself. Yes, put an end to that pretty quickly.
No, but I mean, like, or even if you believe that they're
Now we're going to start trying to stretch it.
No, but
So
like-
someone's trying to hurt you. Yep.
No,
Defend
I'm
yourself. What's next
No, I'm
on the
saying-
little slope?
No, but like, I don't know how to describe it, but like, if you thought a group of people were,
If they're not, though.
but if you thought that,
Yeah, but again, that's because your brain is trying to get attention. You're trying to make yourself the star of everything. It's a load of shit. Do you not find it coincidental that, like, so many people have the same delusions? You know what I mean? And, like, I'm not saying that in the sense of, like, I know what I'll say, but I go, well, that's just more proof that it's true. It's like, no, it shows that, no, but it's what it shows is that humans, again, like, you haven't let people finish their thoughts, otherwise there's no point in me saying the first half, you know, like, I won't even open my mouth, because, like, the first half doesn't make any sense if I don't say the second half. Like, I know most people these days literally have an attention span of, like, they can't listen to someone talk for more than, I was going to say a minute, but I reckon most people seriously struggle to listen to someone talk for 30 seconds without, like, trying to interject and tell a little anecdote about themselves or some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, people just have lost their capacity. I don't know if it's like all the videos and stuff or what, but it's like a massive, like, you talk about lack of communication. There's a lack of, like, half of the communication, like the listening part.
or sometimes you can try too hard to express yourself under limited time. You know, you might then get a big.
Try not to express yourself. That's the whole point.
Well, you
See, like,
probably
even
should
there,
say-
you've got this instinct to, like, I'm trying to express myself in a little bit of time.
I'm
Why?
saying if you want to say something.
Why?
Because you might want to.
Why don't you listen and try to take in? What do you gain from saying something? You're never going to gain something from saying something. You're only going to gain something from listening. You're never going to gain a thing from saying something.
Well, surely two people should interact, hopefully, a bit equally. I mean, obviously, some people talk more than others, like myself. I might be
Equal's
terrible.
fine. No one's complaining about equal.
Yeah.
Although even that's dumb. Like, if you're smart, you'd be aiming for, like, 20% talk, 80% listening. You know what I mean?
Well, sometimes I'm guilty.
Like,
of
depending
that.
on who you're around, that's, you know, much better off for you. Like, selfishly, that's much better off for most people in most cases. You know, I mean, they're going to gain way more from it if they're actually, if they're actually really engaged in the conversation. If they're just there to try and, like, prove that they're right about something, the other person's not right about something, you're not going to gain shit anyway. So they may as well just jump in and rabbit in over the top, because they're not going to gain anything anyway, because they're not going to absorb anything, they're not going to change anything, they're not going to implement anything. So they may as well just jump in like a retarded rabbit and just go like blah, 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 every time a thought pops into their head. But people would actually have some sort of desire to actually learn things or to become a little bit better at things or to be happier or whatever. When they're in the presence of most people, it makes sense for them to listen way more than they talk, because you're never going to gain anything from a conversation by talking. You're only going to gain something from a conversation by listening. You know, it might seem ironic, like when I'm around you, I talk a lot, but I know that's because, like, being honest, like, there's nothing that you ever say that I've gone, oh, I never thought of that before. But don't worry, that's not exclusive to you, that's, like, literally, like, a lot of people.
Well, I suppose it depends on why you're having the conversation with people.
Exactly.
Obviously, if you're making a video, you are trying.
Video. It's about conversations, not like media presentations
That's
or
right.
filming like specials and videos and things and directing and
Well,
stuff.
most people, I don't.
It's about just communicating with other people, like just talking like humans.
Well, it's not-
Here we go. What were you gonna say?
I'm really not sure. It confused me. But basically, I don't know.
I mean, don't
Depends on
start
what you
talking
want,
to-
I suppose. What you want from a conversation or from, why you're doing it. I mean, most of the time, most people just make, you're right this way, but most of it's like where most people I would talk to, if I speak to them, like around and stuff, it's small talk and you don't really want to, make, I mean,
Yeah, why even
I
bother?
don't know what I'm talking about here, I really don't.
Yeah, you're just talking shit. This is
No,
what
but I
people
mean-
do. This is what people do.
Like in the
This
past.
is like the
I
part where it's like better to
whereas
just shut up and let someone
I
else.
do tend to have things more on my mind
proving my
those
point here.
days, but like in the past, it would have just been that's. But sometimes it's quite pleasant just if
Something's on your mind. Why do you feel the urge to like tell
Communicate it.
people about it?
well, because you might think that it might they might be able to help.
So you're gonna try and now you're trying to get people to help you with your problem.
It may not be yes, and it may not be a personal problem, but it could. But it's personal, but it also could be something where they might,
Is this a thing where people just voice their bullshit ideas on things that they really don't have a clue about what they're talking about? Or is this like hey, I need to build a fence in my backyard. Do you know the correct way to join two pieces of wood and could you show me?
No, I was thinking more. I mean, it could be both, but.
Or is this a whole like,
no.
wouldn't the world be better if?
No, I'm saying that it might be. Well, like let's go back to the lockdown thing because maybe that's a
Yeah,
good
it's one of
example.
the. Wouldn't the world be better if it's one of those?
No.
ones?
But what I'm
That's-
saying
no,
is
here
that
it is. We're going to talk for 4 minutes and it's going to be exactly what I said. Watch.
well, if you're not interested,
Well, I just said it's going to be exactly what I said, isn't it? It's going to be, but wouldn't the world be better if? That's literally the quickest way to sum up.
I know that it's all a waste of time.
But that's the quickest way to sum up your impossible. You just keep interrupting me every time. Like, wouldn't that just sum up what you're about to say? Like, you're going to go on about, well, what if it's a situation where blah, 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 about the lockdown, blah, blah, and it's just going to be another case of where someone's going to bitch and moan and go, well, wouldn't the world be better if?
No, but what I'm saying is not
No one
that.
cares about your opinion on shit like that. No one cares about it.
I know, but of course they don't. But it's not about that. It's about more like. I mean, it's probably a waste of time anyway. You're right, but you might think that if like even just in one area, I don't know, like say you're talking about say Sydney or an area. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's true, but you might think that. That if people are thinking a certain way, but you think, oh, perhaps if you don't want things to be closed down, you might think, oh, maybe if we all discussed it together, maybe they might, the majority or a lot, a certain amount might decide that, oh yeah, it might be better if it wasn't so, and then maybe you might have less of it. I'm not saying that would happen, but that's probably the idea. Whereas if you don't actually even discuss it with anyone, most people will just let things slide, and then you end up with a situation that might not be so convenient for you,
Okay.
That's
So,
all I'm saying.
firstly,
If you want to put it like that.
when you finish.
Oh,
So, firstly, like, if that's the case, you're just totally not reading, like, public opinion at all, well at all. And, like, secondly, what do you gain? Like, you all you're doing is causing, more than likely, a divisive point between you and your fucking neighbours or whatever, whoever you're talking to.
well, you might be right.
Seems
Sometimes it is a
stupid.
mistake. You're
Well,
right.
It just seems like always.
You're right. I agree. But
I'll just cut you off here. You're done talking. My turn is back on now. literally you spoke for like 4 minutes, took about 30 seconds to say what you were saying was stupid and tell you why.
I was just agreeing with you that sometimes to talk, particularly to neighbours or people that are close to you,
Anyone.
but
What's the point? You're like literally just going like, I want people on my team. Fucking losers.
it's not about a team.
Oh,
It's
it is. It is. It's you wanting people. You're either trying to convince people to think what you think or give you attention or support what I say. Like you're either looking for attention via arguing or looking to get them on your team.
Well,
agree
okay,
with
you might be right. Perhaps it is a waste of time.
So you're doing the whole worrying what other people figure out. Like, look, just leave me out of it. That's all I ask. All I've ever asked is you leave me out of all this stupid stuff. I don't want anything to do with it. But you just keep trying to drag me into it. I fucking hate it.
You're probably right. But you know, like even with some of the things, like if they're local, and you might, like myself, I'm not very up on things and I've got no pull, I don't know anyone, I don't get involved much with things, I'm not even, I mean like, you know, sometimes you think, oh yeah, maybe if you think something's, you disagree with it, you know, or whatever.
So what, though? This is my whole point. You're not getting what I'm saying.
No, you're just saying who cares, that's right.
You don't care.
Well, some things I do.
You don't. 99% of the things you talk
No, but if
about,
I think
you
something
don't.
is...
Oh, you can say it, but you don't. This is what I mean about when something real happens, you won't know how to respond because you've used up all your fucking, oh, I'm so outraged.
I'm not out...
Oh, stop. Just stop.
All right, I will stop. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably, if you don't like things that are going...